think we should do one more for Christine, then we'll start the show. Let's see.
Ask your doctor
I
about
don't want
Entresto
that. Sorry, everybody. One more. Christine McVie passed away today at the age of 79. Fleetwood Mac, one of my all-time favorite bands, and I'm gonna play one more Fleetwood Mac song with her on lead vocals. Wait a minute. No, I don't want that. Sorry, I'm kind of doing this on the fly here. Oh, that's the one I wanted. I'm sorry. I forgot which one I had already played and which one I wanted to play. We'll do one more. Yeah, we'll do this one.
Cold as ice, I'm over my head. Oh, but it sure feels nice. You can take me anytime you like. I'll be around if you think you might. Love me, baby. And hold me tight. Circus wheel, you're changing all the time. Sometimes I can't help but feel that I'm wasting all of my time. All of my time, think I'm looking on the dark side, but every day you hurt my pride. I'm over my head, oh, but it sure feels nice. I'm over my head, it sure feels nice. Over my head, but it sure feels nice.
This will be the last one, I promise. Gotta do it.
For you, there'll be no more crying. For you, the sun will be shining.
Gotta compose myself here. That song got to me. Hey, everybody. Welcome. It's Matt Connerton Unleashed. And a little unusual start to the show today. Yes, Christine McVie of Fleetwood Mac passing away today at age 79. I haven't seen any cause of death or anything. Boy, I sound like I'm doing a show on NPR. Oh, boy. That song. It's funny, too, because I don't... I think the last time I actually listened to that song specifically, Songbird, it was back in the mid '90s when they did the Fleetwood Mac reunion of what was not technically the original lineup. People actually, I think we talked about this recently on Paul's show, Retro Spectrum Radio, how there were versions of Fleetwood Mac that some people, younger people, newer fans, don't even realize existed because, the really the height of their popularity was, of course, that lineup of Christine McVie, Stevie Nicks, Lindsey Buckingham, Mick Fleetwood, and John McVie, Christine McVie's husband for a long time. Well, I think they got divorced, but they continued in the band together. But when they did, what was it? I want to say it was 95, 96, around there. They did, they after some, that band was known for, there was a level of acrimony. It was kind of a soap opera, the Rumors album, which is one of those albums that that's kind of their, they had a lot of success, but that's the big one, in terms of an iconic album, not only for Fleetwood Mac, but if you were to make a list of, say, the top 10 most iconic albums of all time, Rumors would have to be on it. And, sold a jillion copies. But so much of that album came out of the interpersonal relationships in the band, and Christine McVie and John McVie. I think they were married, but then they got divorced. I think they were married before the band and then got divorced while in the band. I don't remember exactly, but anyway, when they did the reunion, it started with a special that was on, I forget if it was on MTV or VH1. I think by the mid 90s, VH1 had already kind of surpassed MTV as being the cool place to go as far as cable for music programming. It was probably VH1, plus, given their age, as a classic rock band. And I think Songbird was toward the end of the special. I had it on VHS, of course, when it came out, and I had the CD, because I'd always loved Fleetwood Mac. But I think that was the last time I'd ever listened to that particular song. So I think it's been decades since I had heard it. And so just really got to me. But the reason I'm getting very frustrated with myself here. I don't usually get all teary on the show. This is a rare moment. But if it's going to happen, it would happen here, right? Because this is actually the strange thing about being an introvert is this is where I actually feel the safest. Even though there's the greatest opportunity when I'm here for people to laugh at me, but that's all right. I don't care. Obviously. But no, I you guys, I think of the listeners as my family, so my extended family anyway, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, so the reason I opened with, all right, I'm pulling it together. Here we go. Got to get some steam here. So the reason I opened with Hold Me, the song Hold Me, was when I was a kid, a wee lad, a young urchin. I remember I had three in grade school. I had three 45s, and for the young people, a 45 was a vinyl record that just was a single, not a full album, so it was much smaller. So it was a single, and I had three that I would play for the longest time. I just had three singles on vinyl, and I had a little record player, and they were Jack and Diane by John Cougar, who later became John Cougar Mellencamp and then became John Mellencamp, which was his real name. But I loved Jack and Diane. Which is funny because if I hear it today, I'm like, whatever. But that was one of those songs I would just play all over and over. I had You Should Hear How She Talks About You by Melissa Manchester. A song which was a big hit at the time, but probably nobody even remembers it today. I feel like she had bigger hits than that, but for some reason that song at the time I think was a big hit. But I played the hell out of it. I'd probably still be into it if I listened to it now. But I talk about decades. I mean, it's been many decades since I listened to that. But the other one I had a Fleetwood Mac 45, and it was Hold Me. And that's not one of those songs either that, like it, you know, if you listen to classic rock radio, for example, obviously Fleetwood Mac is one of those bands that if you're listening to a classic rock station, there's an excellent chance that at some point you will hear a Fleetwood Mac song. You know, they're one of those bands you'll hear a lot. And you'll hear, you know, you might hear The Chain or, which I did not play. I love the song. I love the bass line in that. The bass line John McVie does in that dum ba dum ba dum boom. I remember learning that when I was a kid. Just loved it. But that's not a song that prominently features Christine McVie's vocals out front. So I wanted to play some of her stuff. But you don't hear Hold Me was a big hit at the time, and it was kind of in the early-ish days of MTV. So Hold Me might have been, is it possible that was the first video that Fleetwood Mac ever did? The first official video? But I remember I would see I probably saw the video more on MTV than I actually heard the song on the radio. I think it was one of those songs that, you know, I'm sure it did okay at radio, but it was on like MTV constantly. So I loved the video, and I probably have somewhere in storage a VHS tape, which probably wouldn't even work now. It's probably decayed and whatnot, you know, that has that video on it. But I loved the video, but I loved that song, and you know, hearing it today too. God, I love that song. But it's kind of cool because it's got both Lindsey Buckingham and Christine McVie singing the lead vocal together. So it's like the entire song is sort of a chorus because they're singing it together. I mean, then you can hear Stevie Nicks coming in on the chorus, but the verses, it's all Lindsey Buckingham and Christine McVie. So and that was, like I said, that was a song that I played constantly, and you know, and I loved the video. But yeah, so that was you know, on my way here today, I'm thinking, I gotta open the show with that, and then I decided to play a bunch of the Christine McVie, some of the hits, some of the songs that you will hear on classic rock, like Over My Head, for example, or You Make Love and Fun. You might hear those on a classic rock station, but Hold Me gets ignored. It's one of those songs, and a lot of bands have songs like that where, you know, classic rock bands that are staples of classic rock radio, but classic rock radio, that format, they'll have a group of songs that you're very likely to hear on that station in that format. But then there's also these other songs that at the time, in the moment when they came out, they were big hits, but for some reason they never made it into that group of songs that are staples on classic rock radio for whatever reason. Some songs just they're big at the time, but they fade away. I'll give you here's a non-Fleetwood Mac example. I'll mention my favorite band, Kiss. I think everyone knows by now Kiss is my favorite band. One of their biggest hits, in fact, it might actually be their highest charting single, Forever, which came out on Hot in the Shade in 1989. Absolutely, it was a huge hit for them. But they don't play it live, and it's completely ignored today by both the band and the fans, even though it was a huge hit at the time. That's kind of funny how that happens. But anyway, Jason Fedderson in the chat room says, "Play it again. I want to cry." No, because I already came perilously close. No, listening to Songbird, wow, that hit me. I did not expect that. I mean, I was bummed out, but I didn't. It's almost like I didn't realize how sad I was. Jeez. Anyway, if you're just joining us, yes, that's what that's why we're so maudlin at the moment. But we'll pick things up. But yes, Christine McVie passing away at the age of 79. Part of very important part of Fleetwood Mac. Well, we'll do the little more. I did play the theme music, so we might as well try to do a little more of a traditional intro as we go forth with the rest of the program today. But yes, this is Matt Connerton Unleashed, and we are live from the studios of WMNH 95.3 FM in glorious downtown Manchester, New Hampshire, also on Comcast 97 if you're in Manchester. Hello to all of our online listeners across the nation and around the globe. You can go to my website, mattconnerton.com, for all of your live streaming options, social media links, contact info, show archives, etc., etc. Oh, by the way, the Hop Knot is, even though it's Wednesday, the Hop Knot is closed today, so no industry night tonight at the Hop Knot, but they will be open tomorrow. Like a lot of places, they're short-staffed. That continues to be a problem, a pervasive problem in the United States, is nobody has enough help. But if you'd like to join us on the program today, 603-250-6007, 603-250-6007. You can also text me at 617-917-4476. You can tweet me. And again, if you've ever thought about sending me a tweet, I suggest you do it now, because at any moment, Twitter could go away. Any day now, it might finish imploding. I say finish imploding. It's already been imploding. It might become fully imploded. At Matt Connerton is my Twitter handle. And of course, you can interact and opine in the Facebook live chat. But the best thing to do so that we can hear and enjoy your dulcet tones is give us a call at 603-250-6007. And we have a call. Hi, welcome to Matt Connerton Unleashed. Who's this?
Hi, Matt. It's Gary.
Hey, Gary. How you doing?
Real Men Do Cry.
Yes.
And that's a great song. I was thinking of my mom.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry. It was just it's a great song. And, yeah, Real Men Do Cry, Matty. So,
yeah.
Thank you for that song. I love that song. So, I love Fleetwood Mac, but I love that song, so thank you very much.
Yeah, no, of course,
and,
yeah.
I love that you played that, so.
Oh, good.
Thanks, Matt.
All right.
Bye.
All right, thank you, Gary. Bye-bye. All right, that was our friend Gary. Always nice to hear from him. That was an unusually a brief call, but obviously he's feeling emotional at the passing of Christine McVie as well. But yeah, thank you for calling, Gary, and I'm glad you appreciated the set list there. 603-250-6007. That opens up the line for you. 603-250-6007. By the way, if you missed yesterday's show, speaking of music, we had a musical guest, Infinity Vane, joined us from all the way from Texas. They flew up just to be on the show. No, I'm kidding. No, they joined us via Skype. Our friend Billy Painter from Outlaw Radio facilitated that. They were on with us via Skype. They've got a great track called The Unknown, and they're working on some more music. Really looking forward to what else they come up with. So that was nice speaking with them, and they seem like really good people too, which is nice. But I like what they're doing. So that was yesterday on the program. But and next week on the show. So a couple things to talk about next week. Actually, the other thing I was thinking of is the week after. So next week, though, the big thing I want to remind everybody, and I'll hold the poster up for those watching online. Of course, we have the Miracle on Elm Street, and this will be the third annual. This is, of course, a toy drive to benefit Manchester kids through the Manchester Housing and Redevelopment Authority, and, of course, Hope NH, and the wonderful Matt Cushane, who I finally had an opportunity to meet last year at the Miracle on Elm Street at Bonfire. But so this year is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be the broadcast will be taking place in studio. So Peter White, of course, of the morning show with Peter White, he'll be here most of the day broadcasting live from the studio, and then we'll be heading down for the official party that starts at 4 p.m. over at Bonfire. So you'll be able to make donations and so forth throughout the day here at the station. Peter will be here on the air, and I'm sure he'll have quite a few people with him. And then he'll be heading down to Bonfire. I'll be in, of course. He said, I can come in a little bit early if I want to. So, and what I'm going to do is, and I didn't mention this yet to Peter, but I'm intentionally keeping that day open on my show as far as guests. I'm not going to schedule any guests. I mean, we might have regulars who come on, some of the people who join us, or maybe Jenny will come on that day. So, there's our regulars who I don't think of as guests, that they're, like John Hopwood, for example, or Texas Mike. They're not guests. They're friends of the show. They have elevated status. No, but I'm not going to book any, any musical guests or anything that day. I want to keep my show kind of open in case, while Peter's at Bonfire, if he wants to call in to my show to talk about what's going on at Bonfire, get people down there to participate in the big event. So that's the plan. So that is Wednesday of next week. So 1 week from today, you can contribute in the following ways. You can drop a toy off here at the station at 1045 Elm Street. We're on the third floor. Best thing to do if you're going to do it that way, probably just call into the morning show. Of course, Peter's on weekday mornings, 7 to 9 a.m. Give a call, say, hey, can I come down? And come on down with a toy. And don't be afraid to be generous. This has been a very successful event the last couple of years, but we want to see it continue to grow, obviously. You can also send a check made out to Hope NH Inc. Hope NH Inc. Send that to WMNH 1045 Elm Street, number 300, care of the morning show. Or you can bring a toy right to the annual Christmas party there at the Bonfire. And there will be raffle prizes, of course. Jenny has donated a couple of paintings, which we talked about yesterday. And we took a picture, too, and posted it online. And they were Peter and Matt Juno, I think, were talking about it this morning on the morning show, talking about Jenny's art. The top donor will win the prize of sitting in on an episode of 95.3 FM Morning Show, the morning show with Peter White. So you can, so there you go. So there's some good incentive. And if you've never been on the radio, don't be shy. It is a lot of fun. I can attest to that. And you can contact Matt Cushane at mattc@hopenh.org for more info on ways that you can help. So absolutely a worthwhile cause, and we're very excited about this. Like I said, it's been very successful, so we want to keep that going. I was genuinely amazed last year at just how generous people were. It's incredible. So, all right. The other thing too I wanted to mention, coming up the week after that, on Monday, December 12th, we're going to be joined in studio by a musical guest. Molly Diago is coming, and I think she's bringing a band member or two for a little acoustic performance for us live in studio here on Matt Connerton Unleashed. So 603-250-6007 is the number to call, 603-250-6007. Let's say hello to everybody in the Facebook live chat. Our friend Crystal from the great state of Illinois joins us. Hello, Crystal. Jason Fedderson says, good afternoon, everyone. Crystal says, good song choice, Fleetwood Mac. New Affirm of the Spark, who, by the way, I'm going to guess is from Greensboro, North Carolina. Says, good afternoon, everyone. We say, and you too, hashtag Matt. The thing about, and I looked this up online, and apparently this is true. A lot of people, I don't know if anyone listening, other than our Greensboro contingent, I don't know if any of my local listeners in Manchester, for example, have ever been to Greensboro, North Carolina, but it's the land of the hashtag. Everyone there, it's a thing. I looked it up. I've never been to Greensboro, but I looked it up. There's YouTube videos about it. I've found some information on Wikipedia. Apparently, in Greensboro, North Carolina, it's kind of a local custom to greet everyone with a hashtag. So, for example, if John Hopwood walks in the second hour of my show, which he might, if he is in the building, which he might be because it's Wednesday. If we were in Greensboro, I wouldn't say, hi, John. I would say, hi, hashtag John. It's just a local custom there. It's a little odd, but, and you also, it's a custom in Greensboro to be a member of a pop singing group. Everyone in Greensboro, North Carolina is in some sort of a pop singing group. It's very impressive. What an amazing community that is. Hello to Rocky Huber in the chat room. Also, Miriam Banish joins us and says, sad about Christine McVie. Tom Blanchard says, thank you, Christine. That song is very personal to me. I assume referring to Songbird. Rocky Huber says, Matt's getting teary-eyed. I wonder when he cries, does he sound like Easy G? No, I do not. My tears are silent, Rocky. You will not hear me weeping openly, unlike our friend Easy G, who is very very expressive with his crying. Guy Lazarus is in the chat room and says Greensboro is MAGA country. Oh my goodness! By the way, is it still MAGA? Because I've noticed something recently. So all of a sudden, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of years ago when the country Qatar, everyone started pronouncing it Qatar, and I was completely baffled by it. All of a sudden, MAGA, people are pronouncing it MAGA. And at first I thought it was just people who consider themselves part of the MAGA movement. I thought they were trying to make it just all sound more sophisticated. No, it's not MAGA. It's MAGA, because we're so smart and sophisticated. It's MAGA. That's what I thought was going on. But then I started hearing people like even on MSNBC, the liberal cable network, pronouncing it MAGA. And I'm like, what is going on here? So I'm going to continue to say MAGA. It's just like DACA. You know, I'm probably the only person in all of media who pronounces it DACA, D-A-C-A, the Deferred Action Childhood Arrival program. Everyone else says DACA, and I guess that sounds more sophisticated, but I pronounce it DACA because if I pronounce it DACA, I feel like I'm just saying the word darker with a really thick New England accent, like, it's getting to be winter, so it's DACA earlier. It's DACA. It's not lighter. It's DACA. You know what I mean? And it is DACA outside. So I insist on pronouncing it DACA. And I will not say MAGA. I will continue to say MAGA. And I make no apologies for this. So everyone else can change. But I am going to be extremely stubborn about this. Just so you all know. And I know to longtime listeners, the idea of me being stubborn is probably quite shocking. But, or to newer listeners, frankly, I try to be flexible and open-minded in some ways, but when it comes to how I pronounce things, I'm sorry. By the way, it does occur to me, as I'm saying all this, that I am in fact, and I am self-aware enough to admit this, I am in fact an enormous hypocrite. Because if you pay close attention when I discuss foreign policy, sometimes I say Iran and sometimes I say Iran, and there is no consistency. And I realize as I'm doing it, I try to say Iran, but every once in a while, Iran comes out. And I know that's not the right way to say it because I'm not talking about going running somewhere. I'm talking about a country. But every once in a while, I say Iran, and then I feel badly. So all the everything else I said about, being stubborn and whatnot, apparently I'm not. Apparently I'm actually quite capricious in how I pronounce these things. So forgive me if I've misled you. But I will never say MAGA. That's pretentious. I hate it. Guy Lazarus says Maggie Hassan versus Maggie Hassan. Well, yes. So now that I will always say Maggie Hassan. Why? Because that's how she pronounces it. Very often, people who don't like Maggie Hassan, they pronounce it Hassan. Not that I'm necessarily a big fan of her myself, to be honest with you, but her political opponents like to pronounce it Hassan because it makes it sound exotic, like, ooh, not a very American sounding name, Hassan. Ooh, scary. She's scary. She must be one of those liberals or something, right? So they've been. I know this because I used to. For 5 years, I was a co-host on a conservative talk show, even though I'm not a conservative. I was the fly in the ointment, if you will. But my dear friend, the Honorable Gary S. Hopper, he was the host and still is the host of the show. The show continues, but I had to leave that show to do this show here at WMNH. But yeah, everybody he would book on the show, they would all pronounce it Maggie Hassan, and I would correct everybody. And they would all be like, yeah, we know. We just like saying it the other way. And I'd be like, yeah, I know. And I think I know why. But I would call them out on it. Yes, you want to make her you want to make her sound scary. Ooh, Hassan. Ooh. Not a very Anglo-Saxon sounding name, is it? Hassan. Oh. I hate that. I hate that stuff. I hate it. No offense to our friend Guy Lazarus. Guy Lazarus posted in the chat room from Wikipedia, Hassan or Hassan is an Arabic masculine given name in the Muslim world. As a surname, Hassan or Hassan may be Arabic, Irish, Scottish, or Jewish. Right. But when people say Hassan, it's like, ooh, we got to make her sound, even though we know that's not how she pronounces her name, we got to make her sound Arab because that makes her sound scary to people. Yes, it's very clever. I say that with great sarcasm. It's not clever at all. It's very obvious. Miriam Banish says, I saw them in concert a few decades ago. The Hassans? Oh, you mean Fleetwood Mac? Yes. I've never, you know what? I have never, even though one of my all-time favorite bands, I've never seen them live. Never seen them live. Miriam says for... Guy Lazarus says Democrats are terrorists in MAGA world. Oh, yes, of course. Miriam Banish says regarding 45s, vinyl 45s, she says, I Got You Babe by Sonny and Cher, Mandy by Barry Manilow, and Saturday Night by the Bay City Rollers when I was a kid. Then it was all albums and mostly Elton John when I was in my teens. Melanie La Liberty from the great state of Vermont joins us. Hello. Let's see. Jason Federson made that comment about wanting to cry. He said, I was almost there. I even cut an onion. Scott Robinson says, really thinks about these places being short-staffed is the people who want to work lose hours because they can't get anybody else, and I feel bad for those people. Crystal says, song that always makes me cry is Knife by Rockwell. I don't remember that song. I remember Rockwell. I don't remember that song. Huh. I wonder... See, now I'm curious. I wonder if I hear it, if I'll recognize it. I think I remember Rockwell. Rockwell had other songs, right? I bet when I hear this, I'm going to be like, I'm waiting for it to load up. I bet when I hear this, I'm going to be like, oh yeah, duh. I totally remember that song. Just waiting it to load. It's taking forever here. It's YouTube. It's got to wait for the ad to pass. Let's see if I remember this. Sounds familiar. Wait, I'm going to get into it a little bit here.
Now that you're gone, knife
Oh, yeah.
cuts like a knife. How will I ever heal? I'm so
Yeah. Okay. Yep. I remember that song. I do remember that song. Mike from Queen City Cabinetry joins us in the chat room. Queen City Cabinetry, one of our great sponsors here at WMNH 95.3 in the historic Sunbeam Mall. Scott Robinson is asking, will Easy be in studio? I assume referring to Miracle on Elm Street. I don't think, no, I don't think so. He's in Nashua now, and I think it's difficult for him to get here. Tom Blanchard says, on a lighter note, Jack Customs broke last year's toy totals. 3,500 toys and 40 bikes will be on WMUR Channel 9 on Friday. Excellent. Well done. Well done, Tom. That is outstanding. That is outstanding. Congratulations on that. Love that. Let's see. I think we're about caught up here. Well, Scott Robinson says, whenever I hear The Flame by Cheap Trick, I always get a little teary. Oh, that was kind of their big comeback hit. That song was a massive hit single at the time. Oh, sure enough, remember what I was saying earlier about in Greensboro, North Carolina, they're all in a singing group. Yes. New Affirm of the Spark posted, we are a pop singing group and we will be performing December 17, 2022. It's karaoke night at Sawmill 2 in Greensboro, North Carolina. And so sad, Christine McVie. She was a good singer and a member of Fleetwood Mac. Yes. Yes. I wonder if Fleetwood Mac ever played Greensboro, North Carolina. Or in Greensboro, North Carolina, they would be known as #Fleetwood Mac. New Affirm of the Spark says, we've been hearing this of Rockwell's song, Somebody's Watching Me, #Matt, back in the 80s. Well, that's the song I remember. I always feel like somebody's watching me. And I think it was Michael Jackson who sang the hook on that, right? Wayne Noel joins us in the Facebook live chat. Hello, Wayne, from the great state of Michigan. Yes. 603-250-6007 is the number, 603-250-6007. If you are just joining us on the program, we haven't even really gotten into anything news items of a political nature yet on the program. We've been, I opened the show today with a bunch of Fleetwood Mac songs where Christine McVie was the lead vocalist. If you didn't hear, Christine McVie passed away today. It was announced at the age of 79. Fleetwood Mac, one of my all-time favorite bands, and I was very sad to hear the news. No idea. I haven't seen anything on a cause of death. And I didn't hear anything about her being ill. But, Guy Lazarus dropped a link in the chat room here for something Fleetwood Mac. I just clicked it. We'll see what this is. Oh, I'll be damned. Well done, Guy Lazarus. Well done. Well played. I clicked the link. It's Fleetwood Mac live in 2015 in Greensboro, North Carolina. Well done. Well done. Yep. It's okay. They did play Greensboro, North Carolina. Although now I would just, the only thing is whoever uploaded this, it should be only because it's Greensboro, North Carolina. It should be #Fleetwood Mac, I think. What did they, I am curious what they opened with. It looks like it's the full show.
And that turned out not to be really the case.
Talking to open the show? Maybe it's not the full show. It says an hour and 25 minutes. Let's see. Here's a song. Oh, that's Big Love. That was a big hit. That is from, what the hell's the name of the album? I like that album, and a lot of people didn't because it didn't sound like classic Fleetwood Mac. But when I was a kid, I thought it was cool. I can't remember what the name of the album is now, though. Jenny says Christine McVie, it was a short-term illness. She died in hospital. New Affirm of the Spark says, we say that we will be performing next year as 2023 for us at Max Speed Shop. Greensboro is karaoke night on January 6, 2024. Hashtag Matt. Oh, January 6th. Is there a theme to the to the karaoke? Gonna play some. Gonna do some. I don't know. What would you do? Breaking the Law by Judas Priest. I mean, they're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame now, I think, right? I don't know. Well, you know what? We're already almost to the top of the hour, so I think what we'll do is we will take a break. We'll play a little something. Oh, thank you. New Affirm of the Spark. Now, the other thing about people from Greensboro, North Carolina, they're very helpful. They have the answer. Tango in the Night is the album from Fleetwood Mac that has Big Love. Yeah, I like that album. I remember when that came out. It was, I think it was that tour. So they did the album, but then I think when it was time to do the tour, Lindsey Buckingham left the band. Oh, Jenny in the chat room says it's real. The event at Max Speed Shop. Oh, very nice. She shared the link in the chat room. Okay. Well, not that, I mean, listen, I not that I ever doubted New Affirm of the Spark. I mean, everybody from Greensboro, they use a lot of hashtags. They're very polite. They're very helpful and very talented. I'm going to go ahead and click this link here. See this event. Well, I'm happy that we can help the people of Greensboro with their entertainment needs by years. You know what we should do is, it's too bad Easy G's in Nashua now. I would love to get, well, he could still do it. I suppose it would have to be by phone. He'd have to do some research online, but we should get Easy G to do an entertainment report specifically for Greensboro, North Carolina. Karaoke night in Greensboro. Wow. All right. Let's, I think we should play. Geez, now I kind of want to hear Big Love. It's not a Christine McVie song, but I kind of want to hear it. Yeah, Jenny posted this from that website. The weekend starts on Thursdays at Max Greensboro. Warm up that singing voice and come hang out with DJ Energizer every week from 7 to 10 p.m. And don't forget to take advantage of our drink specials. Woohoo! All right. Jason Fedderson says, play it. You are in charge. Yeah, why not? I'll play Big Love. That's a good song. I like that whole album. Like I said, a lot of people didn't like it. You know what it was? It was one of those things where older fans who'd been with the band from early, or at least early in the, the Stevie Nicks, Lindsey Buckingham era, which hadn't been that long before, but older fans who, they liked Rumors and they liked Tusk. And then you get to Tango in the Night and the sound is kind of updated, like a little more 80s because it was the 80s. And I think some of the fans who'd been there, there's always people who are going to be like, oh, why don't they sound like they used to? Well, they're evolving and changing. But for me, I was just a kid. I was just a wee lad, a young urchin. Or is it a young lad and a wee urchin? Anyway, I was all those things. So to me, I thought the new updated sound was cool. I liked it. I was here for it, as the young people say. I think, or I was there for it because it was in the past. I'd be here for it in the present. Well, I'm here for it now. Let's see. Fleetwood Mac, Big Love. I remember I liked the video too. The video for this is really cool. If you've never seen the video, you know what? We could even do a watch along right now, right? If you're listening live, we could do a watch along. I can play the song and you can open up if you're online, if you're on the Facebook, you could open up another tab in your browser and watch the video on YouTube while I play the song. Wouldn't that be fun? Probably hard to sync it up though, exactly. There's a 2018 remaster. Oh, there's an extended remix. I didn't know that. Ooh, I'm going to play the Big Love extended remix. By the way, for those of you who are on the Facebook, I do realize this might get us booted. I might have to restart the Facebook feed. But for those of you, I might. I mean, we'll see. Nothing I played at the top of the show today got us booted. Of course, for the rest of you who are listening on traditional radio in your cars during your afternoon commute, for example, please enjoy this. I've never heard the extended remix, so here it is. The extended remix of Big Love by Fleetwood Mac as we celebrate the life and mourn the passing of Christine McVie. More Unleashed coming up. Don't go away. Come on down to the Hop Knot at 1000 Elm Street, Manchester's premier craft beer and gourmet pretzel bar. Tell us more, Trudy.
We make our dough fresh every day. We make a variety of styles of pretzels and serve craft beer, cocktails, and a few bottles of wine. We do the traditional pretzel, and we have multiple flavors for that. We also do stuffed pretzels, pretzel sandwiches, 3 dessert pretzels, and pretzel knots.
The Hop Knot in the Brady Sullivan Plaza at 1000 Elm Street.
Bring your kitchen to life with Queen City Cabinetry, located at 87 Elm Street in the historic Sunbeam Mall in Manchester. Open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. and Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. They can be reached at 603-222-2007 or on the web at queencitycabinetrynh.com. Come see the possibilities. Queen City Cabinetry, another proud sponsor of WMNH.
Clemento's Pizzeria, family friendly, awesome for a date night. Clemento's Pizzeria. For delivery, call 603-782-8450. Clemento's Pizzeria, the best pizza in town. 1875 South Willow Street in Manchester, New Hampshire. Best cocktails around. Come in as friends and leave as family.
This hour on WMNH is sponsored by CGI Business Solutions, located at 5 Dartmouth Drive in Auburn. They serve all your business needs, including employee benefits planning, corporate design and business administration, investments and wealth management, and customized business insurance solutions. Their phone number is 866-841-4600 or on the web at cgibusinesssolutions.com.
Hey everybody, welcome back. We are into, in hour number 2, numero dos of Matt Connerton Unleashed, and we are live from the studios of WMNH 95.3 FM in glorious downtown Manchester, New Hampshire. Also on Comcast 97 if you're in Manchester. Hello to all of our online listeners across the nation and around the globe. You can go to my website, mattconnerton.com, for all of our live streaming options, social media links, contact info, show archives, etc., etc. Today is Wednesday, November 30th, 2022. By the way, no industry night tonight at the Hop Knot. They are closed today, but they will be opening back up tomorrow. Like a lot of places, they're a little bit shorthanded. I've even seen, by the way, 1 or 2 instances where different 7-Eleven locations have been closing at like midnight because they've got nobody to work. It's really incredible. The labor market continues to be pretty tight. You can, I don't know. It's really amazing. It just doesn't seem to, change, and it continues to be a job seekers market. That's for sure. But so they'll be open. They'll be open tomorrow, of course, for trivia. With the great Bill Cini. Of course, he does trivia on the morning show on Wednesdays, and then Thursday nights he's at the Hop Knot. They've got a lot of great stuff coming up. Speaking of great stuff coming up, of course, next week, 1 week from today, is The Miracle on Elm Street, the annual toy drive, the 3rd annual toy drive to help Manchester's kids through the Manchester Housing and Redevelopment Authority. And what's going to be happening this year is Peter White of The Morning Show with Peter White. He'll be broadcasting most of the day from right here in studio. But of course, talking about The Miracle on Elm Street, and I'm not sure what else he has planned for that day. And he did say, I can come in and start my show a little bit early if I'd like. But Peter will be here during the day with other luminaries, I'm certain. And then he'll be heading down to Bonfire because the official Miracle on Elm Street party begins there at 4 p.m. And I'll be on the air here. I'm intentionally not booking any official guests that day. I mean, I'm sure I'll have other folks in studio with me, and perhaps Jenny will come in with me that day. But I'm not going to book any official guests. I'm going to keep things kind of loose. So, if Peter or if anyone else wants to call in from Bonfire during the event there and kind of update us on what the situation is looking like as far as toys being donated and all that great stuff, they'll be able to do that. So we'll keep things kind of loose and flexible that day during the program. But looking forward to that and seeing how it goes. Jenny's already donated a couple of her beautiful paintings for the raffle, and there's a lot of, by the way, as far as donations go, the top donor will win the prize of sitting in on an episode of The Morning Show with Peter White. So that is very cool. That is very cool. There's a few different ways you can donate. You can drop off a toy here during the morning show at 1045 Elm Street. We're on the 3rd floor. You can send a check made out to Hope NH Inc. to send that to WMNH at 1045 Elm Street, number 300, care of The Morning Show here in Manchester. Or you can do it right there at the annual Christmas party at Bonfire. So a few different ways to do that. But like I said, last couple of years, this has been remarkably successful. The first year, I remember it was all the toy donations were coming in here to the studio, and this studio was full of toys. It was really just stunning to see the way the local community stepped up and donated. And then the next year, there was some toys here, but also people were bringing most of the toys to Bonfire. And I remember going there to broadcast on that day, and just tons of stuff. It was just amazing. Just amazing. The generosity of people in the community was wonderful. So we appreciate that very much. So this year's Miracle on Elm Street, 1 week from today, is the official date. One other thing I want to make you aware of before we get into some stuff, speaking of cool stuff, this Friday night, the return of Retro Spectrum Radio with Paulie C, after a very, very brief hiatus, will be live from 8 to 11 p.m. right here at WMNH 95.3 FM. And this is what Paul posted earlier on social media. This Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to give it another try live as we present what we were going to present 2 weeks ago, but the show came to an unavoidable grinding halt. An evening of classic country songs that crossed over into the pop charts, mixed with classic movie clips, commercials, and TV show clips. Classic funny stuff spanning 5 decades. We'll also be joined by the insanely talented Katie from The Morning Show, of course, and Texas Mike, as they sing live in the studio. We'd be much obliged if you join us. See what he did there? Much obliged if you join us. Thank you kindly. That's my attempt at a Southern accent. It's terrible. And of course, you can listen online at WMNHradio.org. Just go to the site, click listen live. And of course, you can follow and chat with us on the Facebook, on the Retro Spectrum Radio Online Facebook page. So that will be this Friday night. So looking forward to that. Fridays are very busy here. Of course, you have this show from 4 to 6 p.m., followed by Granite State of Mind from 6 to 7 p.m., hosted by the great Rob Azevedo. And I believe Katie and her father, from what I heard on the morning show, they're going to be on Rob's show, Granite State of Mind, because both her and her dad are very talented musicians. So they'll be joining Rob on that show. And then, of course, coming back, as I will as well, for Retro Spectrum Radio with Paulie C from 8 to 11 p.m. So that will be a lot of fun. So really looking forward to Friday night. DJ Steve will be with us as well, along with Katie and Texas Mike, and Paulie C will be in the captain's chair, and I'll be over at the news desk. So Friday's my favorite day around here. Really look forward to Fridays. And I look forward to speaking with you at 603-250-6007. If you'd like to chime in on anything today, 603-250-6007. You can also text me at 617-917-4476. Email me, matt@mattconnerton.com. You can interact and opine in the Facebook live chat. And of course, you can even tweet at me, but I suggest you do it while you still can. The clock is ticking on Twitter. Any moment now, any moment, there could be breaking news that Twitter has gone away, gone the way of the dodo, as I think the young people say. The young people say that, right? They say this gone the way of the dodo. Chris Rose from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts joins us in the Facebook live chat. Hello, Chris. Tom Blanchard says, no kidding, Matt. We filled a 40-foot box truck to bring our toys to the show. Tom, of course, referring to the annual event that Jack's Customs does for Toys for Tots, which he said earlier in the chat room that this year's event broke all records for previous events for the amount of toys that they were able to get donated. So that is incredible, and it's wonderful to see. It kind of restores your faith in humanity a little bit, doesn't it? Let's see here. Something that I wanted to look at today, and I don't know that we'll spend a ton of time on it, but there has been a push to, and this largely comes out of Roe v. Wade being overturned, because people have learned that you can't necessarily take things for granted, and so Justice Thomas in his opinion on that, the overturning of Roe v. Wade, even made reference to, maybe looking at other things like same-sex marriage, for example. So that now there's been this push to federally codify same-sex marriage into law, because everyone's saying, well, you know what? Maybe we can't just take for granted that same-sex marriage or marriage equality will continue to be legal across the United States, because you just never know, do you? Now, the Supreme Court, of course, some years ago, was it the Dodd decision, where they decided that based on privacy rights, same-sex marriage should be legal across the land. I'm probably not speaking about it quite very precisely. I'm not a legal scholar, so forgive me if I'm a little loose with my explanation. But basically, the Supreme Court, because of a Supreme Court decision, marriage equality became the law of the land in the United States. Prior to that, many individual states, including the state of New Hampshire, we were ahead of the curve here. We had already legalized a same-sex marriage. Something I always advocated for. I always said, I was pro-marriage equality before it was cool to be pro-marriage equality. I remember having a conversation with my mom about it once when I was a kid too. I even remember asking my mother, why can't gay people get married? And she said something like, well, I don't know. Maybe someday they will be able to. I don't remember discussing it with my dad, and I think his position is definitely different than my mom's. But I always supported it. I think everyone should have access to the same rights. And I will admit, in the 1990s, I was at the time on board with the civil unions solution, because I thought, well, that's a good compromise, because so much of what my concern was, and the concerns of many, was that people in same-sex relationships often just don't have the same rights that they would have if they were to be able to be married. So just as an example, a quick example, suppose you have two people in a same-sex marriage, and one of them is in the hospital, and the rule of the hospital is that only spouses and immediate family, for whatever reason, only spouses, immediate family, etc., can visit the patient or can make decisions. That would be a better example. Only a spouse, let's refine that. Only a spouse, because why would, at least before COVID, why would anyone say, well, immediate family can come visit, but no one no good friends can come visit you? That wouldn't make sense. This is a better example. So you have someone in the hospital and they are incapacitated in some way. Maybe they're in a coma. I don't know. And someone needs to be able to make decisions for that person, but they have no immediate family in the area. But it might fall to a spouse. Well, but maybe the spouse, and there were things, this would actually happen. There were plenty of real world examples of this that people would present. Maybe there is no spouse because maybe the person in the hospital is gay and they have a partner who is gay. But there's no legal mechanism for the partner to be able to step in and say, I have some sort of authority to make decisions on this person's behalf. So that's just one example. There are many examples. Health insurance comes into it, and there's a lot of reasons why there needed to be something to allow gay couples to have access to the same legal and health matters that married people would have access to, no questions asked, right? So civil unions was supposed to address that. And they were called civil unions, from what I recall, because that way we're clearly establishing, okay, this is a civil matter. In other words, marriage is, marriage is something that is often done in a church, right? And the church recognizes these marriages, but we need something civil that covers the civil side, so that gay couples have access to all of the same rights and privileges and all of it that they need to have access to, that heterosexual married people have. And so that was kind of the compromise, and Bill Clinton signed the Defense of Marriage Act into law, which was basically codifying that marriage is between one man and one woman, but you can have civil unions. And I admit, at the time, I thought that was a reasonable compromise. I did not think that for too much longer, though, as it became apparent that civil unions did not solve all of the problems, and that there were still a lot of issues that were left unsolved by establishing civil unions. And the only way to really, truly deal with those issues was to be able to say full-fledged marriage. Now, that doesn't mean just because you allow gay couples to get married that, now churches are going to be forced to perform those ceremonies if there is a religious objection, of course. But everyone has access to this opportunity, or everyone has a shot at it, because everyone should have a shot at it. By the way, you know who said that? You know who put it that way? Used that exact phrase, everyone should have a shot at it? Most of you might not know this or remember this. Former Vice President of the United States, Dick Cheney. That guy, pretty conservative, right? We would all agree. What's the one thing where he was not conservative on? Gay marriage. But then again, he's got a gay daughter. Not Liz Cheney. She's not gay. Is it Mary Cheney? Is it Mary? It's Mary, right? Yeah, Liz. There's a Liz Cheney who is not gay, and the other daughter is Mary, right? Sometimes I get Mary and Lynn Cheney mixed up, but Lynn Cheney is Dick Cheney's wife. Mary Cheney is gay. Senator Rob Portman, another guy, by the way, another Republican who is very conservative. If you look at his voting record, very conservative voting record, except on the issue of marriage equality. But what does Rob Portman have in common with the other conservative I was just talking about, Dick Cheney? Rob Portman has a gay son. So it turns out, if you're a conservative, but you have a gay person in your family, and you love that person and you want the best for them, and you want them to have all the same rights and privileges and everything that they would have if they were straight, then, you see the issue a little bit differently, right? It makes sense. We were ahead of the curve here in New Hampshire on this issue. We're one of the states that, what year was it? I won't get the exact year, but I could look it up, but I could probably remember, because I referenced it earlier. I referenced it in the first hour of the conservative talk show that I used to be a co-host on, even though I'm not a conservative. I was the PIA fly in the ointment on the show. And I did relish that role, I must tell you. Sometimes, though, I look back and I realize I didn't quite make the most of it. But anyway, so that would have been, I think it might have been 2014, around there. So what happened is there were enough Republicans who voted with Democrats to legalize same-sex marriage here in New Hampshire. At that point, it was still a state issue. Because, again, the Supreme Court had not ruled on it federally, but individual states, similar to cannabis. Many states have legalized cannabis, even though it's still federally illegal. It's a states' rights issue. And when I say states' rights, I'm not referring to segregation. I'm using it in the 10th Amendment context of, states having some degree of sovereignty over their own laws and what is permissible and what is not under the law. So we were ahead of the curve on that. enough Republicans in the New Hampshire state legislature voted with Democrats to enact and allow marriage equality here in New Hampshire. And as someone who always supported that, I was very proud of that. A lot of religious leaders support marriage equality, by the way. Not, it kind of depends on the denomination, in Christianity. It depends on the denomination of Christianity, of course. Catholics still oppose it, I believe, officially. I mean, a lot of individual Catholics obviously are for it, but I think the Catholic Church still is in full opposition. If I'm not mistaken, my dad will correct me via text if I'm wrong, I'm sure. But many denominations, of course, support it. I believe the Mormon Church supports it. I don't want to get, I do have an article about that, actually, about the religious leaders who supported it, but that's not where I wanted to focus. I want to talk about this new bill, and I would say that in a sign of progress, a lot of Republicans federally, a lot of Republican senators have voted with Democrats to codify same-sex marriage into law. And I think it's a great thing. By the way, here in New Hampshire, I think Jenny was serving in the state legislature. Jenny was a Republican, but she was always pro-gay marriage, pro-marriage equality. And I think I remember her talking about having an influence over a friend of ours, who was in the state legislature at the time, a Republican who actually, it's interesting. So our friend John Heichel, who he's no longer in the area, he moved to Maine, but John Heichel, formerly of Goffstown, was a New Hampshire state rep, Republican state rep. And John, it's interesting, and I bring this up because he talked about it on this show. Not on this iteration of the show, but before I was doing the show here at WMNH, a different version of the show. This show's gone through a few different permutations over the years. But we had John on the show around that time talking about the issue. Well, actually, or after the repeal attempt. So what happened was New Hampshire Republicans, enough Republicans voted with Democrats to enact marriage equality. Then some Republicans, like Al Baldessero, who is nationally known, a conservative, very conservative Republican from here in New Hampshire, and pretty close to Trump at one point, maybe still is. He led the charge, as he put it, to repeal same-sex marriage in the next term because he had a strong objection to it. But the reason I bring up our friend John Heichel is it was interesting, the conversation we had on the show about this. He said that when the initial vote happened to enact marriage equality, he voted against it because of his Catholic upbringing. He believed, as informed by his faith, that marriage was between one man and one woman. That's what he believed, and so he voted accordingly. But interestingly enough, when it came up for repeal, same-sex marriage here in New Hampshire, he voted against repealing it. And I think Jenny may have had some influence on him. I think I remember her talking about that. She was kind of in his ear about it. But because I guess right up to the day of the vote, he wasn't sure what he was going to do. But he ended up voting against the repeal, even though he initially voted against same-sex marriage. And what he explained on the show was the conclusion that he arrived at was this. Even though he did not regret his initial vote, because he was voting on it as a matter of faith and his belief that marriage was between one man and one woman, he said that once it became established as a law and as a right, he said, regardless of what his faith told him, he is a Republican, but not the most conservative guy. And John was very open about also being that's a weird way to put it, but he was very staunch about being very much wanting separation of church and state. So that kind of plays into this because he said that while he voted based on his faith initially, he didn't like the idea that government would give people a right, in this case, give people a right to same-sex marriage, only to later on take that right and snatch it away. He did not feel that it was appropriate for government to be behave in that way, to give people a right only to turn around in the next term and snatch it back and take it away from people. He said that's wrong. And so he said, he had a clear conscience about his initial vote. That's how he voted because that's what his faith had told him. But he also did not feel that it was appropriate for government to then reverse that and take a right away that it had already granted. So he voted against the repeal. And I thought that was pretty interesting. It stuck with me. And I thought it was good that he was willing to explain it, because my assumption is that most people who voted against marriage equality initially also voted for the repeal, I would assume. But he did not. And I know he took some heat from it, from some of his fellow Republicans who really wanted him on board for the appeal. I'm sure Al Baldessaro was, Jenny was talking to John on one side. I'm sure Al was in his other ear going, come on, we got to repeal this. But nope, John held firm. He said, you don't give someone a right and then turn around and take that right away. That is not an appropriate thing for government to be doing. So now that leads us to where we are now. And again, we've got this bill in the Senate, and Republicans have voted some, and we'll go over which ones. Some of them, a couple of the names I don't recognize, but we'll go over it. But it looks like enough Republicans have voted with Democrats to pass this in the Senate. And of course, Biden will sign it, but does it pass the House? We'll see. But our friend Ron is on the line. Hi, Ron.
Hi, Matt. I'll be quick. I just want to, and I'll even take the answer off the air. Where does the Pope fall on this? Or fall? Where does he lie in this?
The Pope, I assume the Pope is firmly opposed to same-sex marriage.
No, I didn't know if you knew for sure. If when you say I assume, I didn't know if you knew for sure.
I don't.
All right, I guess it's.
I think
it's a curiosity question more than anything. So
yeah, pretty safe to assume the Pope opposes it.
All right, buddy.
All right, Ron. Thank you for the call. Bye-bye. All right. Well, that does open up a line for you. 603-250-6007, 603-250-6007. This is, according to Axios, Senate passes bill to protect same-sex marriage. The Senate yesterday passed a bill to codify the right to same-sex and interracial marriage, with 12 Republicans joining Democrats to send the legislation to the House. Oh, it's the same bill codifying both. Oh, see, I didn't realize that until I read this. I didn't realize that it covered both. That's probably a smart strategy, and I'll tell you why in a minute. It says here, the Senate, with its 60-vote threshold, was the main obstacle to the bill's passage, but it passed with a 61-36 vote. The House is expected to easily pass it before sending it to the president's desk, and obviously President Biden will sign it. Lawmakers crafted the legislation over the summer in response to an opinion from the Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas that the court should reconsider Obergefell. I'm never sure if I'm saying that right. Obergefell versus Hodges, which legalized same-sex marriage nationwide, among the landmark rulings. The opinion was a concurrence in the Dobbs versus Jackson ruling, which overturned the landmark abortion ruling Roe v. Wade. So here are the 12 Republicans who voted in favor of the bill. Roy Blunt of Missouri, Richard Burr of North Carolina, Shelley Moore Capito of West Virginia, Susan Collins of Maine. No surprise there. Susan Collins, one of the most moderate members of the Senate Republicans. Joni Ernst in Iowa, Cynthia Lummis of Wyoming, Lisa Murkowski of Alaska. Again, Lisa Murkowski, definitely one of the more, I'd put her in the same category as Susan Collins. Rob Portman of Ohio, no surprise there. I mentioned him earlier. Rob Portman, very much a pro-marriage equality conservative. On anything else, if you look at his voting record, he tends to be pretty conservative, but on this one issue, he's got a gay son, Dan Sullivan of Alaska, Mitt Romney of Utah. Again, no surprise there. Mittens of Utah, as I like to call him. He seems pretty moderate these days, and I think the Mormons, I think they're the official position of the Mormon Church is they support marriage equality, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Tom Tillis of North Carolina and Todd Young of Indiana. I know who most of these people are. I'm not familiar with Todd Young. The GOP senators who voted for the legislation, many from heavily Republican states, held firm despite pressure from conservatives. Several Republican amendments aimed at preempting possible government retaliation against individuals and organizations over their views on marriage equality failed in floor votes. Key House Democrats have told Axios that they are likely to greenlight the bill, and House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer, a Democrat of Maryland, told reporters that the House could consider it as early as next Tuesday. The bill passed the House in July with support from 47 House Republicans, but the Senate changed the language to clarify it does not infringe on religious freedom, meaning it requires another House vote. I think it is smart. The thing that I was referring to is I think that it was smart to include interracial marriage into this. And here's why. I cannot help but wonder if this stood alone on marriage equality and did not include interracial marriage, would all 12 of these Republicans have gone for this? Because if any of these Republicans, who, again, as the article mentions, were getting some pressure from conservatives to vote against this, if any of these Republicans find, the heat's, it's getting a little too hot, there's too much heat on them, they can always try to play the card of, look, had to protect interracial marriage. So this was the price I had to pay. You know what I mean? Any one of these Republicans, if they had to, they could say, well, that doesn't mean I support same-sex marriage, but I do support interracial marriage, of course. So this had to be done. And I believe my father is on the line. Hello.
Hello, Matt. How are you doing today? It's raining like cats and dogs, or I don't know what the metaphor is for that. On the seacoast. Is it raining in Manchester? I assume it is.
Yeah, it was when I came in. It wasn't pouring or anything, but I think at some point it's supposed to get pretty rough. It's supposed to be a lot of rain.
It's pouring pretty hard in Dover right now. Who's it? Goethe used to say, and he would use the old language, and we usually say, real men who are strong are never affected by the weather. Now, that's easy for him to say. He was a rich son of a gun,
Yes.
Obviously a very talented writer and poet I admire a lot. So I just wanted to call. I'll be brief. I have no idea what you guys are talking about. You're not interviewing a band right now, I hope.
No, I am not.
Okay. That's one of the things I wanted to say, Matt. It's like your level of sophistication has improved. See, as a dad, I can say that without it being condescending at all. I mean, with it being intrinsically affirming. And, I love to listen to the interviews. I usually don't know the bands, but I appreciate your style of interviewing them. And, of course, you have a lot of experience in the business and as a musician, too. So that certainly augments your ability to have those great interviews. But I Google them, and then it's like when I listen to WUNH College Radio. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I can get college radio out of University of Connecticut, but I can't always get that. But UNH does a good job. They have specialty shows I like, too, that I would recommend to your listeners. Things like Pick and Parlor, which is like bluegrass focused program, which is very sophisticated, Matt. And also there's Classical Connections, which is a great program for classical music. I can't distinguish Bach from Beethoven, but I love listening.
Me neither.
And you learn some things, but you'd have to read a lot to be up on all of that. So today I'm going to end with just 2 book recommendations for you and your listeners. Now, I know it's hard to in these difficult and complex times, and with economic and international crises, it's hard to settle down and read. I get that, but I'm going to recommend 2 books. But I wanted to say that I really appreciated the level of kindness and yet sophistication and assertiveness you showed with the gentleman from the secession movement. I don't like to say that.
Yes.
Dave, I just don't
Ridley.
believe in that at all for many reasons I'm not going to go into.
Yeah.
And I know you don't You and Jenny don't either. But he has the right to free speech, and as long as he's doing something ethical. But he clearly didn't get what you were saying very well, and you stuck with that without attacking him. And that was sophisticated radio and
thank you.
Just good humanity and dialogue, Matt, which we don't see so much anymore.
Yeah, well, I like Dave. Obviously, we disagree.
Yeah.
We disagree on some things, but I do like him,
Sure.
and I enjoy dialoguing with him. And I think.
Oh yeah.
I think,
and I get where he's coming from, but it's not a sound base for a lot of reasons. I'm not going to go into that, but
yeah,
you have pointed those things out. You've delineated those well for your international and national radio listeners. I remember Vermont was going to try to do that. They've talked about that for probably 20 years, and I don't support that either. I love Vermont, but I don't understand the people there.
Well, they were going to do. They were going to do what?
They were going to succeed from the union. That was.
I didn't.
That was their plan. And again, not everybody obviously in Vermont agreed with that.
Yeah.
But there was for a while. I think it's abated now, Matt. But there was for a while. This goes back at least 15 years, but a pretty strong movement in Vermont. And Bernie Sanders, he usually wouldn't comment on it, but I don't think he ever supported that. And Leahy, I don't think ever supported that up there either. But they would entertain it, and that's fine, to have a dialogue about that. But we lost 60,000 plus Americans on both sides to maintain the Union and to overcome slavery and racism. And yes, some of that is still going to exist. That's one of the things I wanted to mention was that I personally have been a supporter of conservative economic approaches, as I think you have, Matt, to some extent. But, having someone like Kanye West, and I'm not going to call him yeehaw, but having someone like that come into your home with this guy Fuentes, whom I don't know, but he's a white supremacist, apparently. Is that correct?
Oh, yes. He's a Holocaust denier and the whole deal. And it's not even, sometimes these guys try to use dog whistles and whatnot. He's very blatant. He's very blunt about it.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing. If that's the case, and I believe you, I accept that, he shouldn't be anywhere near the president,
Right.
And for Trump to not have that kind of judgment is very alarming to me and very disappointing. And I agree with your criticism of him with Jenny yesterday. I just want to get that on record. I personally have, and I've talked about this with colleagues, I personally would like to see him just retire. I don't believe in the police state attacking him and all that baloney. That's another story. I won't get into that today, although I'm very concerned about that for other reasons too. But he should just go away now. He did a good job in my judgment in many areas as president. I know he was a putz, but his policies were very sound and rational, and they worked, especially in the economy. And I don't believe he's anti-Semitic or anything, or racist or anything like that. However, would you or my organization, let's say the National Association of Social Workers, would they sanction my hanging out with a white supremacist? Absolutely not.
No.
But I wouldn't. You know me. I'm your dad. I would not do that. I would not do that at all.
Right.
So you have to use judgment. So the thing I wanted to float today was: do you think there's an agent provocateur in his inner circle? Is there someone in Trump's inner circle right now, and maybe it's even a family member? I don't want to besmirch the family. They've had enough trouble for sure from the lamestream media and the left. But is there someone in there who is like the guy in FDR's administration? What was his name? Oh, I'm blanking on his name now. But he was a top aide of FDR's, Matt. Alger Hiss.
Oh, okay.
Alger Hiss is this dude who did confess and then sort of reformed his life subsequently. But he was with Stalin and the commies, and he sold us out at Yalta, and yet he was pretending to be, of course, a loyal American citizen who had input, and a lot of input at one point, to the FDR administration. So I just float that out. I wonder if there is a mole in there. What do you think?
Well, anything's possible, but when you say that, what does come to mind is there was this weird thing with Milo Yiannopoulos, where he's supposedly involved, and they were trying to set Trump up or something, or it's all. Oh yeah, the whole thing is so bizarre. It's very, very bizarre.
It is bizarre. Yeah, I agree with you, Matt. It's intrinsically bizarre, and it's hard to know where truth lies with this stuff. It's very frustrating.
But it does remind me.
But I will say this, though, and I have supported him, and I've defended him, and I will still do that on some basis. But if this is his demonstration, let's say it's a different president, even without naming any, the theoretical, hypothetical. If he doesn't begin to demonstrate better judgment than this, he shouldn't be running for another term, in my judgment. I will say that.
Yeah. Well, I just what this whole thing has reminded me of, though, is and you and I had a conversation about this when this happened, back when Trump was running in 2016, and it was on the eve of the Louisiana primary, and he's being interviewed on CNN by Jake Tapper because David Duke had endorsed him, and all of a sudden, and I remember you were concerned about this too. All of a sudden, on live television, Trump seems to have no idea who David Duke is, and doesn't even know what the KKK is on the eve of the Louisiana primary. And of course, once the Louisiana primary was out of the way, he denounced David Duke and the KKK. But it was a very, very strange moment. And I remember you said to me, I might even still have the text message. You said, "Yeah, a 69-year-old man clearly knows who David Duke is," and that's just bizarre and concerning. So there's there may be a pattern to this. I don't know, I didn't know. You know what I mean?
I do, and that seemed to be what he was saying about this meeting.
Yeah,
and that is loathsome. That's irrational. That's not acceptable.
Yeah.
So we may be, and on the compassionate side, as someone who has supported him and defended him in certain areas, not in all areas, of course. The tweets I never liked, and I would advise him to shut that down and eradicate all kinds of responses that he's into, because he's got this very aggressive stand, and some would call it assertive. I won't get into that debate, but you're right. I mean, a 69. I remember that a 69-year-old man knows who David Duke is and knows who the KKK is. This is a well-educated man who's written books, with one great economist, by the way, from Stanford. I forget. He's it might be T.T. Suzuki, but anyway, I'm not going into all that.
I know who you mean.
But this is a guy who has knowledge, and now if he's playing a political game, that's not a good sign at all. I have a candidate I wish would come forward. I'm not going to mention her. I'm going to leave a little mystery, Matt. But she is a woman.
Nikki Haley?
A lady. Oh, yeah. No, I'm just kidding. Who is that? Don't answer that. I mean, that's something I want you to reflect on.
Okay.
So I think your presentation yesterday, raising questions about Trump's judgment, is accurate. And I know. See, I don't like the current Republican leadership either. I don't like Cocaine Mitch. Can I say that? Remember, that was from that guy.
I do, yeah.
And the Speaker of the House, and also what's her name? Renee? Is not Renee? I forget. The current chairman of the Republican Party, who is of course the niece of know who. I won't even mention his name.
Ronna McDaniel.
Yes, Ms. McDaniel.
Yep.
And she'll text me, not personally, she's texting everyone who's a conservative, and
yeah.
She is the worst leader. I shouldn't say that. She's one of the worst leaders I've ever seen in my life. And I'll say something controversial here.
Yeah.
I do not believe, Matt, call me a denier. I know this is coming back. I do not believe for a moment that Kerry Lake lost that election to that numbskull on the left in Arizona. I don't believe it. So I can't prove it, but I just want to say that. So I'll stop there. I want to just leave the audience with a couple of books that are really good. that are addressing not philosophy or theology, but the political scene. So let me think. So one of them is just coming out now. I've ordered a copy and I've looked at some of the reviews of it. It's called The Fall of the FBI.
Okay.
And it's by William J. What's his last name now? I think it's William J. Baker. William J. Baker, and he is a former senior supervisor in the FBI. And I've read parts of the book, online. What he's saying is just really revealing and well documented, and it points out how the FBI has changed over the years and become a leftist arm and a police state group. And the current director, I won't even mention his name, is totally corrupt in my judgment. I'll say that. So that's a good book. And the other one I wanted to mention was called Reawakening America. And that's by a great journalist and American philosopher by the name of Dr. Scott Powell. Reawakening America. And, it'll give you, whether you're on the left, the right, or the middle, as it were, it'll give you some great insights. He's a great historian, I should say, by the way, too, out of Stanford. It'll give you great insight into the real history in the American development in that context of the Constitution, the rule of law, et cetera, and institutions and education and higher education and all of that. So those are the two books I would recommend.
Okay.
What do you think?
Well,
just something to reflect on.
Yes.
All right, Matt, I'll let you go. I appreciate all you are doing. We disagree on some issues, but we agree on other important issues.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Did I ever mention that Freud and Jung wrote about that?
Yes, you have. You have mentioned that, yes.
Yes, ad nauseum. I acknowledge that. All right, love you. Let you go. Peace out for now.
All right, Dad, love you. Thank you for the call.
You're very welcome.
Right.
My pleasure. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, that was my dad, Martin Connerton, and nice call, and I'm glad he's got some criticism of Trump there. We did discuss that quite a bit yesterday, and I liked what my dad had to say about time for Trump to retire. If you're a regular listener, you know my position. I'd like, by the way, I haven't mentioned this. So but my position being, I would like both Trump and Biden. Time for these guys to ride off into the sunset. I think we should how about we take a chance and elect a young person, like a nice, fresh-faced 65 to 67-year-old president. How about that? Instead of just going older and older. Not to be ageist, but and of course, obviously, I'm half kidding in that we've had much younger presidents. Obama, Clinton, JFK. I think they were all in their mid-40s, But I mean, like I always point out, though, when we elected Trump, we elected the oldest president in American history until we elected Biden. And then if we reelect Trump in 2024, Trump will be even older Trump's a few years younger than Biden, but he'll be even older than Biden was when he first took office. And oh my goodness. It's time for some new blood, I think. But it was good to hear. It sounds like my dad agrees. Oh, but the thing that I haven't mentioned is, and I want to get in touch with these people and get someone from this organization on the show. Apparently there's an organization called Don't Run Joe. And I only know this. I haven't seen this on any of my news feeds or anything, but I got a text message from them. So I guess I'm on a list somewhere. I got a text message from this organization, not to me specifically, but they're just trying to get some attention. Don't Run Joe. And apparently it's an organization advocating for President Biden not to run for re-election. It would be fascinating, actually, to see just as an observer of politics, because if Biden were to announce or even hint that he's made a decision not to run, there's two obvious questions that the Democrats would have to grapple with immediately. One being Biden right away becomes a lame duck president by definition, right? If he announced he wasn't seeking a second term. But the other problem would be, so who's going to be the nominee? And tradition and protocol would suggest that it should be Kamala Harris, but she's got some problems. There's some antipathy toward her. She's not the most popular, although that can be overcome and handled. So, But it would just be fascinating to see if that were to happen. All right, Jenny shared a link for it in the chat room. Yes, I hadn't seen that. I only knew about it because I got that text. But maybe tomorrow on the show we'll dive into that a little bit. I'd like to look at that a little bit more closely. Hey, my feelings. Biden, he got those vaccines rolled out. Thank you, Mr. President. Well done. And you can go now. Time for some fresh blood, I think. I think it's time. All right. We are out of time. By the way, once again, if you missed it earlier in the show, I played some Fleetwood Mac songs with Christine McVie on lead vocals. She passed away today at the age of 79 after a short illness. She was in the hospital, apparently, and that's all I know. I just know that's what Jenny put in the chat room. So very sad about that. Fleetwood Mac, one of my all-time favorite bands. So it was an emotional start to today's show, but and we'll even close out with a little bit of Fleetwood Mac, although we're about to wrap up completely. That's it. If you missed any part of today's show, it will be up in just a little bit at WMNHradio.org and at my website, mattconnerton.com. And I'm out. I'll talk to y'all a little bit later. Bye, everybody.